Hello, metalheads, and welcome to episode 20 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is Christian Renner. How are you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good. Went to a show last night, so pretty good.
Oh, yeah? Who did you see last night?
We had Gatecreeper, Worm, and Frozen Soul.
Oh, yeah.
And I was super impressed with Worm. I mean, I'm not really a Doom guy, but man, Worm, that blackened Doom that they play, it is really fucking good.
Yeah, I've heard that from...
I was shocked.
I've heard that from so many people, how good they are live. I'm actually going to that show on the 13th. I'm really excited about it. I saw Gatecreeper earlier this year with In Flames. They put on a really good show. Very technically perfect. Never seen Frozen Soul before. Even though they're from Texas, somehow I've always missed them. So looking forward to seeing them. And then Worm, of course. Anything blackened that comes through the area, I'm all for it. So very excited about that show. I went to a few shows recently since the last episode as well. I saw Skeletal Remains and Bewitcher. Bewitcher's killer live. They were so much fun. Yep. I wrote up an entire review of that concert, and it's available to read on harshvocals.com if you're interested in seeing what that show's like. You also went to see Dark Tranquillity and Amorphous and Fires in the Distance, right?
Yes, I did. All the way in Lawrence, Kansas. So it was about almost a 4-hour drive from where I live. Well worth it. Well worth it. I absolutely positively adore Dark Tranquillity. So
they were amazing live when I saw them too. Yeah.
And, getting to meet the band and all that was super nice.
Yeah. I saw you paid for the VIP package.
Yeah. But, it was definitely worth it. And, you got all the extras. And if I would have bought the stuff that you got in the VIP, it would have been the VIP price anyway.
Yeah.
And they did have a special t-shirt only for VIP. And it's a combination Amorphous Dark Tranquillity shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Half and half. So it's actually pretty fucking cool.
I haven't seen that. You'll have to show it to me later.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking cool. And, I really like Amorphous and I absolutely love Dark Tranquillity. So like seeing them live, it's like, all the songs it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I just absolutely
when I saw them, because they swap who's the headliner. Sometimes it's Amorphous and sometimes it's Dark Tranquillity. For my show, Dark Tranquillity was the headliner and Amorphous was amazing as always. I've seen them 3 times now. They're just excellent live. Fires in the Distance killed it. And then Dark Tranquillity, I've never seen them before. I've wanted to for years. Michael Stana, he's like just all smiles the entire time he's performing. Like he's just so happy to be on stage. And you could tell he's passionate and enthusiastic and just excited to be there. A lot of fun to watch. I had a blast watching them. And then they played a really good mix of like newer stuff and older stuff. At least on my show. When they played Cathode Ray Sunshine, my buddy Dave and I, we just lost our shit. It was a great moment.
Yeah, I actually recorded that one because I absolutely love that song. And I will say that show is probably in my top 5 all shows that I've ever seen. And it's not because it was like super impressive with explosions or anything. I've been to plenty of those, but it's just, I'm so passionate about that music that it just felt like it meant more somehow.
Yeah, I totally understand.
It was great.
I would rank it very highly in my list of all-time concerts too. It was a great performance from all 3 bands. A lot of fun. Plus, all my friends were there because we all like that music. So it was a good night overall. Yep. Just fun. Just a lot of fun. But anyways, let's go ahead and move into talking about music because there is a lot of great stuff that's come out over the past 2 weeks.
This 2 weeks was rough.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There's a lot.
Yeah, I think it was probably the most challenging week we've had as far as figuring out honorable mentions and figuring out, which ones we're going to pick as actual picks. Because honestly, I could have made a list of 25 honorable mentions for the show. There was that many good albums that came out. There were some that were great, that were better, that are going to be our obvious picks. But man, there was a lot of stuff that was just really good. But anyways, let's get into it.
A lot.
So the first album we're going to talk about is from Vicious Blade. The album's called Relentless Force. This is one of Christian's picks. You want to talk about these guys?
All right, we got Vicious Blade. Like you said, the album is Relentless Force. We got thrash with a little bit of crust thrown in there, which is that's different. They're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The track that I picked is Forged Steel. And the main reason I picked this one is there's just this absolutely filthy riffing and this mixture of vocal style by Clarissa Bedini, which is also something a little rare that you normally don't find a female vocalist in a thrash band.
Mhm.
That's usually not a thing, but she crushes. She absolutely crushes. This here's her first full length after a couple of EPs and a 4-way split with Vicious Blade, Blasted Heath, The Gauntlet, and Bastard Cross. I haven't heard that one. I might have to check that out, though. This reminds me a bit of mid-era Destruction mixed with a little bit of Slayer and maybe add in a little bit of that Bay Area sound. You know, if you mix all that together, like they have that aggressiveness that Slayer and Destruction have, but with that melody that you get from the Bay Area.
Mhm.
You know, thrash has had a bit of an off year, but there's been a few standouts, and this is definitely one. Just a fantastic get in and get out aggressive thrash album. And, you know, overall, thrash hasn't seen a whole lot of advancement, you know, as far as its sound goes, you know, the way black and death metal have. And
At least not
I
this
think that
year.
might be, yeah. And I think that might be why it feels like an off year. But when a band comes out with a fantastic album like this, it reminds you, you know, what it was about thrash that you loved in the first place. And it's like putting on a old pair of jeans or something that just fit really well, and an old shirt. Well, when I listen to a thrash album that really hits with me,
Yeah.
and this is definitely one of those. And this track that I picked, it's a perfect highlight for it.
I agree with that entirely. This kind of shows all of her different vocal range throughout the song.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like this album a lot too. And thrash is not, you know, my preferred subgenre most of the time. There's a really interesting mix of like clean vocals and shouted vocals and almost death metal kind of growls mixed in as well. And the crust elements throughout all the songs are pretty cool. You know, I'm a big fan of crust punk mixed with black metal, but it works just as well with thrash apparently. So I really enjoyed this a lot, and I'm excited that this is the first track we're going to play. So again, this is Forged Steel off the album Relentless Force from the band of Vicious Blade. Enjoy it. Yeah, that's a great pick, man. Great pick.
Yeah, I love that song, and you know, I honestly could have picked all my picks this week. I honestly could have picked whatever, but this one here, I thought it showcased her vocals, and that guitar riff in the beginning is just fucking filthy. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great track. The album is great, and like most of the picks we have this week, any single song off the album would have been a solid choice. This is a really solid album all the way through. So if you like thrash, if you like a mixture of vocal stylings, if you like crust, you'll find a lot to appreciate here. Moving on to my first pick of the episode, this is Groza off their latest album, Nadir. If you remember, we had PG from Groza on the show. We did an interview with him earlier in the year talking about his development of this album. And now that I've heard the album in its entirety, I'm very, very pleased with everything that we talked about. It's a very emotionally driven, beautiful, sad black metal album. It's exactly what I look for in my black metal. So again, if you don't know who Groza is, they're black metal from Germany. They've been around since 2016. This is actually their third full-length album. They're part of the Art of Propaganda group of musicians, AOP Records, who's my favorite record label. Groza means disgust, as we discussed on the previous episode, and Nadir means the lowest part or the lowest point. So fitting title for an album that's all about depression. There's a song on here that features Harakiri from the Sky called Daffodils, which is really beautiful and really sad, just like all the other songs. But it's full of melody. It's full of interesting compositions. It's an incredibly well-written album. I think I like Redemptive End just slightly more, but this is still just excellent. I'll be shocked if this doesn't end up in my top 30 for the year. So what did you think of Nadir, Christian?
I thought he definitely added a lot more melody this go round, but there's still plenty of aggression. He hasn't lost any of that, but there's a lot more melody in this. And for me personally, I thought there was like the tiniest bit of bloat. Like some songs could have been cut just a tiny little bit, but overall, what I feel about this is it's just absolutely fantastic. The good things are incredibly good. And that tiny little bloat, it just gets ignored because of how good the rest of it really is.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the bloat is really kind of in the interlude sections that lead between tracks. Yeah. They kind of meander just a little bit, but it's not problematic. It doesn't take away from how good the album is at all. It's just some people are going to prefer a shorter transition than a longer one.
Yeah, it's not off-putting, and I think it'll actually translate better on vinyl than it will stream.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my copy. It still hasn't arrived, but it's shipped from Austria, so hopefully soon. Anyways, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Groza off of their album Nadir, and the song that I chose to play is Asbest.
Absolutely fantastic album. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
It's one that I knew I was going to love, and I've been anticipating for a while because I love Groza. But just because of the quality of albums that came out in this 2-week period, I don't feel like I got to spend as much time with it as I would have if it had come out on another week. I've probably heard it 10 times, which feels to me like a low number for an album that I was looking forward to so much. But it's not because I don't love it. It's just because there was not enough time in the day to allocate for this with so many other competing albums that were of the same or better quality. It was just a crazy 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think we both agree on the best release.
Absolutely. So, we'll get to that. Our number one is the same.
Yeah. I listened to that album probably 30 times this week.
Yeah. I think pretty much with our number one for this episode, it was like I would listen to something else and then that, and then something else and then that, and then something else and then that, and I just kept doing that back and forth because it's just so good. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go ahead and move on to our third album. This is the band Torrefy, which is one of Christian's picks, but I got to say, I absolutely love this album, and I probably heard this one 10 times as well. It's just killer.
Yep. We got Torrefy. The album is called Necronomasongs. Interesting title. We got thrash metal from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. The track that I picked is Street Reaper. And again, I could have honestly picked any song on this album. Yeah. They're all absolutely fantastic. This here is their fourth full length from them after forming in 2011. This reminds me a lot of Skeleton Witch with more added variety. You know, Skeleton Witch can be kind of samey depending on what album you're listening to. So they do remind me of Skeleton Witch, that super aggressive kind of, but with a tiny little bit of prog in there, you know. Guitar work here's the big standout. Just absolutely awesome riffs and face melter style solos. Mm-hmm. And these are courtesy of Ben Jerenser, who plays rhythm, and Adam Henry, who plays the lead, respectively. And Jesus Christ, the guitars on here are just awesome.
Some of the best we've heard this year, to be honest. Like the guitar work is just absolutely phenomenal on this album. And you haven't really mentioned it, but it's not just thrash, not straightforward thrash. It's blackened thrash pretty much throughout, which, you know, makes it more appealing to me by default, just because I love black metal so much. Yeah. But the riffs on this album are just memorable and intense and incredibly well written. I couldn't get enough of this album. I mean, I only listened to it 10 times because there was so much competition, but it's one that I've gone back to several times this week since, you know, its release. And it's one that I'll probably spend a lot more time with before the end of the year. There's a very good chance this is competing for a top 30 spot as well. Yeah.
This here was, you know, like what I consider a feel-good album. You know, like I just throw this on, it just makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I definitely want to shout out, though, is, you know, I just got done saying that, you know, thrash hasn't really advanced, and, you know, it's kind of samey. But, you know, this album is actually doing something a little bit different. And, you know, that blackened sound with the face melter style, you know, solos and stuff. And definitely need to shout out absolutely killer album artwork.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Absolutely love that album art. After a while, you can kind of get a lot of samey kind of album art, especially in black metal. You know, it's always going to be a forest or, you know,
the mist, or my favorite newer style one is, you know, it's a shadowy figure or a guy in a hood in a black and white photo with a bunch of, like, you know, chalices and daggers and shit, like, laying on the ground in front of him. I mean, look at any Spectral Wound cover. They all kind of are a perfect example of what black metal's doing these days.
Yep. And so, like, when you see really good artwork, you should probably say something. Yeah, and this is really, really good artwork.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. This is Torrefy off of their album Necronomasongs, and the song we're going to play is called Street Reaper. Enjoy it. God, that's so good, man.
Yeah. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that when you're talking black and thrash, you know?
It's one of the, like, every time I hear a song from this album, I'm just like, man, I need to go back and listen to the whole thing. So I'll probably put it on later today again.
This seems like a band that would be amazing live.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see this band live.
I agree with that entirely. All right, well, let's move on. The next pick is one of mine. This is a band called Ophidian Memory. They put out an album called Carrion Lord. We've got melodic death metal from Iowa. That's actually from your neck of the woods. Kind of surprised to learn that.
And I had no idea who this guy was, and he lives in my town.
Yeah, it's the solo project of a guy named Blake Lamoureux. He's also in the band Morning Veil. If you remember back in episode 9, their newest album, Heresy Code, was actually an honorable mention for us. So he's putting out a lot of good music this year, apparently. Very prolific. This is the third full-length album from Ophidian Memory, and it's a concept album of a fantasy/medieval world. It's part of a series of storytelling that he started with his first album that's built into this third album. Unfortunately, it's very complex from what I tried to understand about it. So I can't really tell much about the story, but I encourage you, if you like the music, to go and look it up yourself and read about it. The music itself is very beautiful, very well composed. There's a lot of great melodic moments. There's some amazing guitar work on this album as well. The song I picked, I think, highlights what his style is like the best of the ones on the album. But there's honestly not a bad song on the album. I could have picked any of them to play for you guys. Did you get a chance to listen to this one, Christian?
Oh, yeah. I really, really like this. And one of the things that, like also this go around, we had a new album from Black Dahlia Murder. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the album Black Dahlia Murder wish they would have wrote. Because, you know, not to shit on them or whatever, but I found that album to be a little bit boring, very, very samey. I mean, it just really sounds like they put a fresh coat of paint on their last album.
Yeah, kind of sound. I completely agree. Yeah. It didn't really do much for me. In a week where there was so many good releases, that one was just kind of okay.
Yeah. And so Ophidian Memory took over that spot for me because I actually do like Black Dahlia Murder. I think they're a good band. I just think they're a little bit stagnant right now. So, but I was looking forward to that. And when I listened to it and then listened to Ophidian Memory, I was like, man, maybe they should try and get him in the band because he could probably help out with the writing a little bit. But yeah, this is a fantastic album.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I loved it too. So let's go ahead and play the track again. This is Ophidian Memory off their album Carrion Lord. And the track that I picked is called Hunger of Your Deceased Deity. such a rewarding track. There's so much like evolution through the music as that track plays. It starts as one thing and then changes throughout, and it's just so well composed. I'm really becoming a big fan of this guy. I went back and listened to the second album in his trilogy, and I really like that as well. I haven't had time to go back and check out his first one yet. And like I said, we did listen to the Morning Veil album earlier this year and really like that as well. So I don't know what else I can say, but I hope that Blake keeps writing music because all this stuff is just great.
Shit, I need to meet up with him at a show or something, and maybe we can get him on here, do an interview or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd be up for that. All right, well, moving on. Next is the album that probably would have been my second choice as well if Christian hadn't picked it. Kanonenfieber put out an album called Dire Catastrophe. So, you want to talk about that one?
Yep, we got Kanonenfieber. Dire Catastrophe. Jesus Christ. Or Catastrophe. I'm just having all sorts of trouble with that.
It's not that hard.
It's actually D or Catastrophe.
D or Catastrophe. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Which translated means primal catastrophe, just so you know. This is melodic, mellow black mixed with some death metal from Bamberg, Germany. And what they're trying to say with this primal catastrophe is, just the amount of people that died in World War I. I'm a big history buff. I love history. And a lot of people aren't really aware of how brutal, absolutely brutal World War I was. Mm-hmm. I mean, 17 million people died in that war. And in just absolutely horrible, horrible ways. I mean, if anybody's a fan of history or whatever, there's a guy who does a podcast named Dan Carlin who does hardcore history. He did a full 4-episode deal on World War I. And, all of his episodes are like 4 hours long, 5 hours long. They're very, very long. So, and they actually only come out like every 6-8 months, something like that. And it's because of the amount of work that he puts into it. So I've already, some of the horrible things that happened in World War I, I'm completely aware of. And yeah, Homeboy's talking about them in here. So you definitely have it. The track that I picked is Sturmtrupp, which just means stormtrooper in German, which is just German infantry. So it's not a Nazi thing, just so y'all know. It's Sturmtruppe. So this is a one-man project. The guy's name is Noise. The name of the band just actually means Kanonenfieber. Mm-hmm. So we got that. The easy comparison to this is probably the band 1914 because they do a lot of military stuff too. But I also
they're way better than 1914 musically though.
Yeah, I think so too. But I also hear a lot of like non-est deus.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Noise is the creator behind Non-Est Deus as well. So Kanonenfieber started as his side project, but both bands have earned their spot as like a legitimate band at this point. So he's very prolific and incredibly talented.
Yeah, I even hear a little bit of Migla in here, just a tiny bit, not a lot. This thing is just heavy as fuck, but with absolutely perfect sounding production. You can't get better production than this. Yeah. Everything about it is just absolutely fantastic. And finally today, my vinyl arrived.
Oh, nice.
This morning. It had to come from the third place that I ordered it from, but it's here now. So I'm going to be spinning that later. One thing this album highlights is how incredibly well, and I didn't really pick up on this at first, but how incredibly well the German language works for black metal.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, let's be honest. I'm German, but the German language is not a romance language. There's a lot of, there's a lot of
black metal.
There's a lot of harsh sounding,
a lot of harsh
sounding things. Yeah. So it's actually absolutely fucking perfect for black metal. And I'd never really made that connection until listening to this album. And I was like, son of a bitch, that just sounds meaner in German than it does. Than it would in English. So, hey, keep that German going, bro. I think this album is more than just music, though. This is something that you can learn from. Like I said, the whole concept of this band is he found a diary of his either grandfather or great-grandfather.
Yeah, his grandfather was a journalist, and he actually interviewed people that survived World War I and got lots and lots of stories from different people and just had them in this big collected book that Noise found.
Yeah.
And he's taken individual stories from all the people that lived through World War I and the horrors they saw and endured, and created songs based on each person's individual story. And this is the second album that he's done this for. The first one was Mention Mule, which was a great album. It's full of beautiful melodies and horrific moments, and it's very catchy. And it's a precursor to what you hear here in Deity. I think the sound has evolved a lot between the first album and the second album, and he's really come into his own as far as like what he wants this band to be and what he wants the sound to be like. And you're right, singing in the native language and a lot of the songs really does emphasize the horrific stuff that he's singing about in kind of an interesting way. I absolutely love this album. I spun this probably 25 times. And I mean, it's definitely the second most listened to album I had. And I mean, we had the promo a few weeks before it actually released, so I got a little bit of an early start on it. One of our writers wrote an incredible article going into some of the actual history behind some of the songs, translating parts of it. So you can read that on harshvocals.com from Michaela if you want to. She also sent an interview to them, so maybe we'll get that back and get a little more information about what went into this. But it's such a cool concept, a really innovative idea, something that nobody else has really done before. You made the comparison in 1914, and they've written about, war and just the brutality of it and things like that. But I don't think they've done it in such a personal and meaningful way like Noise has.
This is way more emotional.
Yeah.
This is way more
It's
emotional.
very emotionally driven.
There are screams on this album that will just give you chills.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so well fucking done. And, to be talking about this, I mean, one of the most important things to me is, we have to learn from history. We can't just repeat that shit. And when you take a look at how horrific and what we as a human race did to each other in World War I and World War II, and I mean, it's just staggering how evil, war can be.
Mm-hmm.
And, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we're still dealing with it today. So
yeah, I mean, the horrors of war are well documented, and it doesn't really do much to progress us as a human race, but at least it makes for good content for inspiration for black metal. So
see, and I actually prefer this where it tells you about the horrors of war than, like the glory of battle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear about the glory of battle because there's no such thing. People die and it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be glory.
Well, let's go ahead and play a track.
Yeah. Let's be hey, here's a good song.
Again, this is Kanonenfieber off of their album Deity, and the song that Christian picked is called Sturmtrupp.
Durch das Granaten, die Engel der Welt, den Vorsprung Herr, doch, wir haben unser Gelübde gehalten. Der Allmächtige war mit uns und unseren Freien verbündet. Zur eigenen Ehre, zum Heile des Vaterlandes, zum Ruhe und allerhöchsten Kriegsherren. Das walte Gott.
Die Männer kamen nicht zurück, jetzt von mir heute Glauben auf. Sie definieren uns Stück um Stück, Männer geben sich zu auf. Wir verlangen den Beschuss, die Munition wird knapp. Granaten im Überfluss, regnen auf uns hinab. Wo bleibt unsere Verstärkung? Wir brauchen Rückendeckung, die zweite Kompanie. Vergiss unsere Rettung. Auf den Kabel durch das Niemandsland. Vorwärts, Männer, leistet Widerstand. Menschenmassen aus der Nebelwand. Der Sturmtrupp mit den Spaten in der Hand. Auf den Kabel durch das Niemandsland. Vorwärts, Männer, leistet Widerstand. Menschenmassen aus der Nebelwand. Der Sturmtrupp mit den Spaten in der Hand.
God, that's a killer track, man. Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, it was kind of funny how we transitioned there, but war is a terrible thing. Humans in general are capable of great evil, and we need to learn from that. We need to learn from our history and try not to be that way. So this is at least a very, I don't know if fun's the right word, but it's a fun and interesting way to learn about history that, is more appealing than just reading books, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our favorite album of the past 2 weeks, the album that I have listened to the most, the album that I'm still listening to a lot, Blighted Eye, the album Agony's Bespoke. So this is progressive death metal from Washington. There's a lot of different elements mixed into this beyond just death metal. There's blackened sections, there's doomy sections, there's a lot of melody, there's a lot of variety in here that keeps the album feeling fresh every single time you listen to it. It's not an easily digestible album, meaning that you have to listen to it multiple times to get everything out of it. But it's also not a challenging album, meaning that the very first time you listen to it, you will be able to appreciate it. It's one of those rare albums that kind of walks both of those lines. You don't see that too often, where it's so hard to digest it all, but it's also not challenging to listen to. They've created something really special here. It's damn near a masterpiece of an album. It's almost certainly going to be in my top 10 for the year. And I can't get enough of it, to be honest. I know you loved it almost as much as I did, Christian.
Oh yeah. I mean, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh fuck, this is something different. This here's a special kind of album. Mm-hmm. And I can almost guarantee this is going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year, because it is seriously that good. This album just absolutely positively takes you on a ride. Mm-hmm. And when the song is over, like you're talking about, like you don't get everything. And I don't know how many times, the song would, I'd finish the last song on it, and I would actually have to take a deep breath. Like, whoa, like, man. Yeah, that's a record right there. And
the final couple tracks on it are so emotionally powerful that they're almost draining to listen to. The first few times I listened to it, I definitely felt the same physical effect that you're talking about, where it's like you got to kind of recuperate before you can go back and listen to it again.
Like, I never once listened to this album back to back. I didn't finish it and then start it again. I never once did that because it felt like I couldn't. Mm-hmm. Like, God damn, I need to take a little break here. Like, holy shit. But when you're not listening to it, you're thinking about listening to it. And, it wants to bring you back in. And it's not one of those things where you can like listen to this song or listen to that song and then switch to something else. Once you start, you have to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just, like chef's kiss kind of
Agreed.
album.
Agreed. It's an album where the sum is much greater than the parts, and you have to take it in as an entire album. I mean, I think that most metalheads consume music that way anyways. We're album listeners, not single listeners, like some other genres are. But still, with most things, like you could start an album, get halfway through it, have to go and do something else, and then start listening to something else when you resume listening to music. This one, it's like, if you pause it, I feel like you got to come back to where you paused it. Like the cycle has to be completed before you can move on to something else. Like it's that good. And it lives in your head because it is so complex, but not necessarily challenging. It just sticks in your head. There are some tracks on here that are so memorable that like I'll hear them in my sleep.
Yeah, and I mean, going into this week, I would have put money on the fact that my pick of the week or best album of the week would have been Kanonenfieber.
Me too.
Or Groza. So this came out of nowhere, and perfect example of like, this is why I do this, because this is not an album that I was thinking about, excited about, knew anything about, and listened to it. And it's the best damn album to come out these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why I love doing this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we talk about all the time how we're on a constant quest for the perfect album. And, it's a rare thing to find the album that you consider perfect. 2024 has been so gracious to us because, I mean, we found like 7 of them. I mean, it's a record-breaking year as far as that. There's multiple albums that have come out this year that I consider to be perfect, and this is one of them. So it's so freaking good. Let's go ahead and play the track so you guys can get a taste of what Blighted Eye sounds like. But I will tell you that even though I'm playing this track and I picked this track to represent the band, this does not represent the entire scope of what they accomplish on this album. All of the songs are varied. All of the songs are very different. And they're all taken as a whole a damn near masterpiece. So the track that I'm going to...
It's stunning.
Yeah, the track that I'm going to play
Absolutely
is called
stunning.
A Reverent Stillness. I feel like this is one of the more quiet, emotionally driven tracks towards the end of the album. This is the one that lives in my head when I'm not listening to the album. And that's pretty much why I chose it, because this is the one I hear in my dreams. So again, Blighted Eye off the album Agonies Bespoke, and the track is A Reverent Stillness. I hope you enjoy it. God, that
So
song's
fucking
powerful.
good.
Yeah, so good, man. I just want to go listen to the album again.
We should take a break right now. We'll both listen to it. I got the vinyl.
Yeah,
So
I got my vinyl too. We've talked a lot this year about, shipping delays and ordering from other countries and how long it takes for vinyl to get here, and even Bandcamp orders taking a long time when they're in the US. I ordered this on their Bandcamp, and 5 days later I had it.
Yep.
Their shipping team,
Read it in
whoever that
3.
is, excellent. So
Yeah.
if you want a copy of this on vinyl, jump on it because you'll get it pretty quickly. Can't say enough good things about that.
Yeah, I had mine in 3 days.
All right. Well, that does it for our picks for the week. All of those albums are amazing. And, if there's ever been a week where I encourage you to go and listen to all of the ones that we picked, it would be this week.
Yeah.
Moving on to our honorable mentions, though, these are all fantastic albums as well. A lot of these could have been picks on another week. And a lot of these are, just as quality as some of the ones we talked about previously. So if you have a lot of time, I highly encourage you to check these out too. But I'll let Christian goes first. Like I said, we both could have picked 25 albums for honorable mentions this week. So I pared mine down to 9. I hope Christian did the same.
Yeah, I pared it down to, I think, 9. And I'm going to be super quick. I'm just going to say the band, the album, and what they kind of remind me of. So the very first one I have is Deathless Void. The album is called The Voluptuous Fire of Sin. We have death/black metal from the Netherlands. If you like Archgoat, Blasphemy, the Blasphemy band from Canada, you would definitely like this, especially the Archgoat. I hear a lot of that in there. The band Servant. This was so close to being a pick. The album Death Devil Magic. We have black metal from Germany. Another AOP Records.
AOP is
Jesus Christ,
killing this. I mean, 20 Bucks Ben and AOP are just like the dominating record labels this year.
Yeah, you want death metal? 20 Bucks Spin's got you covered. You want black metal? AOP. They can just throw you anything, and you're probably going to be like, God damn, that's good. Then the band Magnetar. There Will Be No Peace in My Valley.
Great title.
Heavy metal mixed with black metal. And it's not as aggressive as most black metal. And here I'm going off on a tangent, but it's definitely there. And for some odd reason, I thought I'd heard Magnetar before, but this is their debut album. I don't know if they have there's another band with a similar name or something. I'm not
there's
exactly
Crown
sure.
Magnetar, the deathcore band.
Yeah, maybe that's who I got no idea. But these guys are from Manchester in the UK. If you like one of our picks from last episode, Marrow of Man, this kind of reminds me of them, along with Inherits the Void, really. There's some similarities there. They're lighter than both of those.
Yeah.
But
I can hear that, though.
The black metal sections
the melodies
are
and the
definitely
black metal
there. The
sections
melodies
are definitely comparable. But for me, the heavy metal, clean singing kind of styling is just, I couldn't connect with it.
Yeah.
But, I struggle with that anyways.
Yeah. And it completely worked for me. So then we have Bewitcher going into this week. I would have absolutely positively said that this would have been a pick, but those other albums are just flat out better. So, but we have the Bewitcher album, Spell Shock. It definitely deserves an honorable mention. We have Black Speed, Black and Roll from Portland. If you like Midnight or Hell Ripper, I'm guessing with as much as these guys have been touring lately, you probably know who Bewitcher is. Yeah. And if you don't, just wait about 20 minutes. They're probably playing a show in your city. It's
a really good album, but I feel like they're not really working on evolving their sound. It's really just more of the same. It's just exceptionally well done.
It's very, very well. And I mean, if you really think about it, Midnight does the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. He's not evolving his sound. He's just keeping it right in that wheelhouse. And, that's fine, but it doesn't leave a lasting impression. So, and something like Blighted Eye, I'll be spinning that album 5 years from now. Yeah. I can almost guarantee it. So then we have a band called Crimson Sun. The album is called Sorrow Breaker. This is melodic heavy metal from Finland, clean vocals. If that melodic sound like Delane or Leaves Eyes or even Battle Beast, if you like any of those bands, you're going to like this Crimson Sun album. And I haven't found a lot this year that has that sound that I actually really like. And this one here, it definitely hit. Then we have the band Eclipse, who I'm a huge fan of. They're just an absolutely fantastic, straight up heavy metal band. Their album Megalomanium 2, this is heavy metal hard rock from Sweden. If you like the band Pretty Maids, Scorpions, or even Def Leppard, you're going to like Eclipse. Super catchy. Why this is not on American radio, I can't begin to tell you because it really should be. There isn't anything on here that would not translate well to American radio, but
Yeah, it has mass appeal. I agree with that.
oh, mass appeal. I mean, their album, what was it from a couple of years back, that Wired, I think it was called. Absolutely brilliant fucking album. And this one here is actually more of the same. Then we have Eradicator, The Paradox, another thrash album. We had good thrash this week. Thrash from Germany. If you like Death Angel or Exodus, but with a European twist, you'll definitely like Eradicator. Then this one here I played this a lot more than I thought I would after the first listen, but I just kept coming back to it. It's a band called Mechanic Tyrants. Odd kind of name. The album is Saint Diamond Riots, or Saint Demon Riots, Dieman. We have speed metal from Germany. If you like bands like Venator, Screamer, or probably a bit more well-known like Eternal Champion, you are definitely going to like Mechanic Tyrants. Basically, if this band was playing at Hell's Heroes, I would not be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see them fitting right in. And that's all I got.
All right, cool. Well, those are some different ones than I have, so that's good at least.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me, my first one is a band called Obsidian Mantra. This was actually one that I was not having on my list until Christian pointed it out to me, but this is very emotionally driven progressive death metal from Poland. It's their third full-length album. It's called As We All Will. There's some heavy-hitting emotional stuff throughout this entire album. It's palpable, the sadness and the angst that's in this, but it also has some memorable riffs and a lot of like great death metal moments. I loved this album. This easily could have been a pick on another week. It's just that the three that I chose were stronger this time. But I think anybody who likes progressive death metal will enjoy that one.
I actually think this here is like the 7th best album.
Yeah, it's real close. Yeah. Next is the band Thorium. They put out an album called The Bastard. This is death metal from Poland. This is my first time hearing these guys, but they have a really interesting blend of death metal that's sometimes technical, sometimes progressive, always catchy. This album was a lot of fun. There's even like some thrashy stuff kind of built into this. I kept coming back to this one. I probably listened to it 5 or 6 times. It's a very fun album. It's just a little bit too long. Yeah. It's like there's 3 or 4 tracks too many. And by the time you get to the end of it, you're kind of exhausted. But the first half of the album is super fun and it's worth checking out. Definitely. Next is a band called Ascalapha, Ascalapha. It's a solo project, atmospheric black metal from Missouri. They put out an album called Fata Morgana. It's their second full length. Very beautiful atmospheric stuff on here. The production is, like Christian likes to call it, a little bit thin, but it's a very beautiful and memorable album for me, at least. It's right in my wheelhouse with the atmospheric stuff. If you like atmospheric black metal, I highly recommend checking these guys out because depending on your tolerance for the production, you could either really love this or dismiss it pretty quickly. They're good though. Next is the band Coffin Rot. They put out an album called Dreams of the Disturbed. This is straight up death metal from Oregon, their second full length since 2017. This album is excellent, just really straightforward death metal, no bells and whistles. If you like straight death metal that is catchy and has great riffs, you'll like Coffin Rot. Mm-hmm. Next is Typhonian. They put out an album called The Gate of the Veiled Beyond. This is death metal from Germany. Second full length for them as well. A lot more progressive elements in this than in some of the other ones we've talked about. Kind of a cosmic sort of feel to a lot of the songs as well. I didn't spend enough time with this one, but it was one that definitely left an impression because the very first time I heard it, I was like, holy shit, this is probably going to be a pick. And then everything else was so much better that it ended up not being. Yeah. But, as far as my ranking, this is probably the 8th or 9th best album that came out, in my opinion. It's very, very good. Next is Dissolve. They put out an album called Polymorphic Waves of Unconsciousness. This is progressive death metal from France. It's their debut album. They're an unsigned band. There's a lot of really powerful emotion in this as well. And the progressive elements are unique and distinct in this album. They do some really bizarre things with the melodies that I haven't really seen a lot of other death metal bands attempt. For being an unsigned band and for this being their debut, the production value on it is through the roof. We've talked this year about how many amazing debuts have come out and how polished some of them sound, especially for being a debut. And this is one of those bands that I would say falls into that category. It's just, it feels like their third or fourth album, not a debut. And this is a very memorable progressive album. So I recommend checking this out for sure. I would have put this like in my top 10 for the week as well. Very, very good. Yeah. Next is the band Warlust. They put out an album called Sol Victus in Umbrae Satanae. If you can't tell from that title, they are satanic black and death metal and thrash metal from Germany. It's their third full-length album since 2014. There's so many things going on in every single song here that it's hard to digest it all, but there's a lot of really great stuff. The album is like the perfect length. This is another one that easily could have been a top 10 pick for me this week. It's one that I listened to several times. Very catchy, very memorable, just all around an excellent album. So don't confuse them with the other 15 bands that are named Warlust. Make sure you find the one that is satanic black metal.
Enjoy.
Yeah. And then the next band is Ripped to Shreds. They put out an album called Sanshi. This is death metal from California, their fourth full-length album. For some reason, all of their album titles are Japanese kanji. I'm not really sure what the connection is there, but they're all a Japanese word. But this is old school death metal with a lot of melodic parts built into it. A lot of guitar solos, even bass solos on one of the songs. It's very interesting. If you like that classic death metal feel, but you also enjoy melody, I think you'll love this album. It's one that I listen to a lot, and another one that easily could have been a pick on another week for me. And then finally, the band Arcona. They put out an album called Stella Pandora. It's black metal from Poland. Their eighth full length since 1994. I've never heard of these guys before, and they have 8 albums, which is crazy to me. It's very melodic black metal, well produced. Nothing special about it. It's just exceptionally well done. I liked it a lot. So if you like melodic black metal, I think you'll enjoy Arcona. Check them out. And that does it for honorable mentions.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to digest. I tried to go through it quickly. I know you tried to go through it quickly. I hope that people do check out some of these bands because, you know, we try to cover a little bit in everybody's wheelhouse this time. There was a lot of thrash metal this week, which, you know, typically there's not, you know, and then of course a lot of interesting and different black and death metal. So tons of good stuff these past 2 weeks. And I still can't believe we're just now entering October. We still got 3 more months of music coming. How insane is that?
Yeah. And then when you consider, I would probably say from top to bottom, these 2 weeks were the strongest of the year.
Yeah, I would too. Overall, I mean, maybe not in terms of like album of the year lists, because you know, there's some weeks where like three top 10 albums got released or something. But as far as like just overall quality, if 100 albums came out, 60 of them were good. And that's rare. Yeah. You know, there's usually a lot more stinkers than there is quality. So very, very strong couple of weeks.
Oh, I know.
I know you do. All right, well, let's move on to our topic. So the topic for this episode is discovering new music. So we get asked all the time, you know, how do we make our lists? How do we come up with what we're going to listen to for the week? How do we develop our playlist? That kind of thing. And so I just wanted to take an episode to kind of talk about that, where I go to discover new music. And the truth is there's not just one resource that I use. There's several across the board. Typically Thursday night at 11 p.m. my time, Central Time, that's when everything releases to Spotify. Some albums don't. Some albums don't drop until Friday midday for some reason. But Friday is usually the big release day. Thursday night's usually when I start making my playlist. And I do that from a few different resources. The first one is Encyclopedia Metallum, metal-archives.com. They post a list on the right-hand side of their webpage that is the upcoming albums. It updates all the time with whatever's been announced. So the first thing I do is I go through there, and anything that doesn't say power metal or heavy metal, I add it to my list. I don't typically add singles. I don't typically add EPs, but anything that's a full album that falls in black, death, extreme, or thrash gets added to my list. Then the next place that I check is online on Twitter and Instagram. There's a user by the name of Kman Riffs, at Kman Riffs. He posts a image grid of all of the releases that are coming out in the extreme metal vein for the week every single time. And sometimes he has different lists than Metallum does. So I always use him as a resource, fact check against what I've already done, add anything that I might have missed, and then anything that isn't coming to Spotify right away that might have been added to Bandcamp or Ampwall or something like that, I make a note of it. And then periodically throughout the 2 weeks leading up to the show, I check to see if it has been released. It might have been delayed by a day or two. That's pretty common. It happens a lot where an album doesn't end up on Spotify until 3 or 4 days after it was scheduled to. After that, there's a app that I use called Metal Releases. It's an amazing app. The guy who runs it does a fantastic job of updating it. It has links not only to Spotify, but also to Bandcamp and other places where you can find this music and listen to it. He updates with the upcoming releases. He keeps a tracked list of everything that has come out previously that you can easily access and what weeks it came out. You can even build your own playlist from the app. It's a very useful tool. I mostly use it to see if he has anything coming out on his upcoming list that I might have missed. And if he does, then I can use that to easily identify whether it's on Spotify or not, because Spotify is where I do my playlist building. So I'll add anything that's missing from there. And then usually that's when I'll listen to music until 2 a.m. and then I go to bed. Then I wake up the next day for work. And the first thing I do is check Metal Injection's website. Metal Injection posts a what's coming out this week kind of highlight. And somehow they have things that don't end up in those 3 previous places as well. So I'll go through their list and I'll add anything that falls within my preferred subgenres. And then that's more or less how I build my playlist. I will occasionally see like black metal promotion on Facebook post stuff that I might have missed that just came out, or Heavy Metal Apocalypse, a Facebook group. Sometimes they'll post things that I missed. And so like throughout the cycle, I'll see either people in metal Twitter or metal threads talking about albums that I might have missed. And I'll see Facebook posts in certain groups about albums I might have missed. It's insane the amount of music that comes out in a week. And it's very easy to miss things. Like I'm talking about checking 4 different resources and then just kind of paying attention to social media throughout the week to make sure I didn't miss anything else. And I still miss stuff. Christian tells me about bands that I missed all the time. I'm sure his process is a little bit different than mine, but I do the best that I can to find everything that I can. And, there are stragglers too. There are things that don't get released on a Friday that come out, Monday through Thursday of either the week leading up to that Friday or the week following that Friday. And it's pretty much word of mouth if you choose to release your album on those days, because Friday is the big day when everybody makes their lists. So if it comes out on another day, if people aren't talking about it or somebody hasn't discovered it through one of their own methods, it's very, very hard to get discovered.
Yeah. My process is really very close to yours, not 100%, but I check Metallum too. And I absolutely love Metallum, but it's not always super easy to find stuff on there. Because if you have something misspelled or you have it spelled right, but it thinks it's wrong, it won't show up. And so like you might have to look by album name or something.
Song names, things like that.
Yeah, if you're looking for some background info of a band or whatever. But, I do the same thing with Spotify. I build my entire list on Spotify, and Thursday night too. It's almost like you have to try and get a jump on it because there's so much. But the Metallum, I check that a lot. There's a YouTube channel that I subscribe to called Metal Collision, and he posts usually about a week prior all the albums that he knows about that are going to come out. And so I check that video. It's usually 6-7 minutes long, and he pops up the album and the album cover, says if it's a, album EP or if it's, whatever. And I'll go through that, kind of make a list out of that. I'll, to cross-reference with Metallum to make sure. I do the same thing. I don't check Twitter like you do, but I do like some Instagram stuff here and there, but not nearly as much.
There's a Everett's promotion page or something like that on Facebook. It's a really good resource too.
Yeah, I there's quite a few different things. I also, check Bandcamp. You can look on there, find stuff. That Black Metal Promotion YouTube channel is really, really good. There's been plenty of times where, it got released on a Wednesday on Black Metal Promotion, and I'm listening to the album there, and it's not actually due to be released until Friday or Saturday on Spotify. So I've done that before too. There's just so much. And of course, we also have a friend group and a metal chat, and people be telling you about stuff on there all the time, stuff that I've probably missed, and be like, oh shit, that's right in my wheelhouse. And people there kind of know what I like, people know what you like, and so they'll suggest stuff, and that's super helpful too.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have friends that do the same thing that you do, because sometimes you help each other find things that slip through the cracks.
I mean, and to be honest with you, Justin is the very first person I've ever met that listens to almost as much music as I do. And with it is that same kind of feeling, that looking for that perfect album.
Yeah.
And, it just feels so good when you find something that you weren't expecting to be good, or that you had no idea who this band was, and it just completely blows you away.
Even among our friend group, I mean, we talk about this chat we have. There's, I would say, 12 or 13 different podcasters / YouTubers, people that do what we do in that group, and they don't listen to anywhere near the amount of music that we do. We have a thirst for finding those perfect albums that just isn't common, I guess. And as we find them, we share them with everybody, and then, they disseminate it to their audience. So one of the things that I love about doing the show is that we do get to discover amazing new bands and amazing new music. And our contribution is sharing it with all these other podcasts as well. So more people find these bands and more people support them. And, it helps the bands grow. It helps the shows grow. It's just a very positive thing for everybody. As an added bonus, you and I just get to listen to a lot of great music all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I will freely admit, I have a big problem with FOMO. I have a fear of missing something. And so that's what kind of drives this as well. And, I like traditional and power metal too. So I'm my playlist filled with that too. And you'll hear that a lot in the honorable mentions. But
I had, because I had an interaction with some guy on Twitter earlier this week. He was like, I can't believe I've listened to 300 new albums this year. How many albums have you guys listened to? And I was just like, well, let me do the math. I was like, probably a low estimate is 40 albums a week. Like if you averaged them out, and we've done 39 weeks. So 1,560 albums. And he's like, holy cow. And like everybody was chiming in just like, that's insane. How do you listen to 1,500 albums in a year? And I was like, well, you should talk to my co-host, because he actually likes genres that I don't. So he's probably double that. It's probably fair to say you've listened to 3,000 albums this year so far.
Well, I actually have kept track. It's a OCD thing that I have. And before these 2 weeks, I was at 3,342.
Yeah.
And so, and I will freely admit, just so y'all know, I don't listen to everything complete, because if it's got shitty production, I'm out. I'm already out. So like I'll listen to that one song, or maybe give it a second song to see if that production is really that bad all the way through. And if it is, it gets deleted. So I only listen to 2 songs of that album.
I give every album 3 tracks. If I hear the first track and it's a 10-minute long instrumental intro, I'm almost certainly not going to pick it. I'll listen to something from the middle of the album to see if I like it, and then I'll dismiss it if I don't. If I listen to something and the production value is just so bad that it can't be redeemed, because there are a lot of those, like an unbelievable amount of those that get put out, I'll give it probably 1 or 2 tracks. If it doesn't improve, again, I dismiss it. But if it's, reasonable production, and maybe I just don't like the music, or I don't like the vocals or something, I'll usually give it three tracks to try to convince me to give it a full shot. That said, that's why I estimated about 40, because there are more like 60 to 100 albums that come out every week. And there's probably 40 that I've listened to in their entirety every single week. So that was my estimate. So I'm pretty confident that I'm somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 albums for the year that I've listened to in their entirety. And I'm sure your number, even with the dismissals, you're probably somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000.
Yeah, somewhere in there. It's probably about 75 per week that I fully listen to, and there's like 100, sometimes 110, 20 albums that come out.
And we're just talking about
and stuff, the stuff we haven't missed.
Right.
There's still stuff we missed.
Yeah, so we're just talking about new music too. Like there's this is 1 year, and there's tons and tons of great stuff that has come out every year prior that we might have missed or whatever. So I'm also constantly looking for albums I might have missed in previous years. One of the ways that I discover old music that I haven't listened to or don't know about is I tend to check Indie Merch Store and Blast Beats Vinyl and a couple of other vinyl retailers for sales. And then if there's anything that has a cool album cover or falls in the genres that I like that I haven't heard before, I'll make playlists of all the records that are on sale and listen to those to decide if I want to buy it on vinyl, basically, while it's cheap. And I have a constantly ever-growing playlist of, vinyl sale albums. And I've discovered a lot of great older music through that as well. Also, word of mouth. I see people talking about albums they love that I've never heard before, and I'll just go and check it out and see if I do like it. And even albums that I have heard prior that maybe I didn't love in that moment, in that time, that other people claim are like a 10 out of 10, I'll go back and listen to those and see if my opinion has changed over the years as my ears developed. And sometimes it has. So, I mean, it's not just new music that we listen to. We go back and find old stuff, or at least I do, all the time. Can't speak for Christian.
Oh, I'm a big fan of those end of year lists.
Yes.
And I look at everybody's end of year list and to see if, there's something on there. Oh, I didn't see that. And it's number 4 for this person. I should probably check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do that. And, Josh Runquist does a good job with his top 100. There's always something in there that I've missed somehow or another. So, I'll pick that one up. And, like what you're saying, discovering stuff like on stuff that's on sale. Another good spot is opening bands at live shows.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times I'm like, perfect example. Last night I was there to see Gatecreeper, but Worm super impressed me, and I bought a couple of vinyl albums from them. And the reason is just because of like, I'd never really been a fan. I'd listened to them before, but it didn't translate for me, on a,
well, they're doomy and slow.
Streaming siders.
A huge fan of slower music. Guy.
And so when I saw it live, I was like, oh fuck, they sold me on this. And so, yeah,
same thing happened to me with Torture Rack. I saw them open for Bewitcher and Skeletal Remains, and I had never heard Torture Rack before. And they're a really groovy, catchy death metal band. And I bought their album while I was there too. I mean, sometimes you just discover stuff in places you're not expecting to.
Yeah. And our show. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We try to condense it. We try to condense it for you guys and tell you all the things that we like. We try to do the hard work for all of our friends and, for our listeners, cause it is like a second job basically to listen to all the music we listen to.
Yeah.
But it's the best job in the world. And I love being able to share what we find with everybody. And hopefully people are constantly discovering new stuff because of us. So that's my goal. That's always been my goal. This is just help bands find an audience and to help audiences find a band. So,
yeah. And that's the whole thing for me as well. It's the, I would do this regardless of this show, just so people know. It's not like I'm doing this because of this show, but I do this because I absolutely positively love heavy metal.
Every time Christian goes to a concert, he texts me and he says, fuck, I love metal.
Yeah. I just can't help it. It's like my church, I guess. And these bands are working their ass off and, creating some of this incredible music. And when you hear, like In Vain, when we did the interview and how incredible that album is, and then you go back and you listen to their other albums that are just as incredible. And these guys don't go on tour because they have regular jobs, because they can't make enough money doing this. And so these people should definitely be shouted out. And, they deserve way better than what they're getting. And so any little thing that I can do to help, I'm 100% in.
Yeah, same here. All right. Well, that pretty much does it for where we discover our music. If you guys have any questions or you want more information, feel free to reach out to us on social media. When I post the episode up, I will include links to everything we talked about, so you guys can check out the Metal Release app and Encyclopedia Metallum if you've never seen it before, and K-Man Riffs pages. It's all good stuff. There's a lot of great resources. Yep. But let's go ahead and move on to our pickups. I'll let Christian go first. You picked up anything cool lately?
Well, I picked up quite a few stuff at the Dark Tranquility Amorphous Fires in the Distance show. Picked up some vinyl. I picked up Live at Tavastia. the 10,000 Likes album and got that signed and all that good stuff. So
Cool.
I was able to pick that up. I think I picked up that Another Fires in the Distance t-shirt. So I think I have
You got all three now.
of their shirts at this point. Yeah. I got that Blighted Eye vinyl. The Kanonenfieber vinyl finally showed up today. I got the Groza vinyl. Oh, and like last night at the Gate Creeper show, I picked up 2 vinyl albums from them, 2 vinyl albums from Worm, which I would have never thought I would do. And the latest one from Frozen Soul, I picked that up there too.
Nice.
I spent too much money there.
That's how a concert should
but
be.
yeah, hardworking bands, support them when they show up to your city. Buy as much merch as you can afford, and they could use every little bit.
Mhm.
So, and hey, tip your merch guy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as for me, I also picked up the Blighted Eye album. I think they only did 200 pressings of it, and there's 2 different colorways on it. I know you picked up the like swamp sludge version or whatever, and I picked up like the smoke version. They got to be running low at this point. So if you like that album, I would say jump on it as fast as you can. I also picked up a Spectral Wound shirt and pen off of Holy Mountain Printing. Absolutely loved that Spectral Wound album, and I've become a big fan this year of them enough that I want to wear a pen on my jacket and have a shirt. So I grabbed those.
Yeah.
I went to the Bewitcher show and I picked up a Bewitcher pen as well for my jacket, and I got a tour shirt for their new album Spell Shock. I also got a Torture Rack shirt that's also a tour shirt, and I picked up their latest album as well. And then I picked up a small Skeletal Remains patch for my jacket too. I don't know where I'm going to put it because it's almost full, but I have a patch. And then as far as the website, we've been getting a lot of growth on the articles and stuff. We've gotten onto the press list for pretty much every major metal label at this point: Century Media, Season of Mist, AOP. So, I mean, we're getting a lot of early access to records and getting the opportunity to review them. So, I mean, if you've never checked out the Harsh Vocals website, harshvocals.com, I highly encourage you to go and do so. We have a really great writing staff, and it keeps growing, and they're putting out some amazing content. And there's even some surprises as far as like album reviews that have come out and are coming out. So definitely check that out if you have not. And if you're interested in writing for us, we do have some spots available for new writers. If you want to hear music early and be able to review it, please reach out. Let me know. We could definitely use a couple more. And that's pretty much it for pickups. Also want to remind everybody to check out our TikTok. Christian's doing an incredible job with making these videos. The transitions are great. Now that we're doing the extreme submissions section, we're also doing highlight videos for those bands to try to get them some more exposure. If you never looked at any of the stuff I'm talking about, you can go to TikTok and go to @harsh_vocals and check out what Christian's up to. Social media otherwise, we're always going to be @harshvocalsite, SITE. So find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I manage all those, and I'm very, very active. So
way more active than me.
Yeah. So speaking of extreme submissions, the band this time is called Embers Ignite. They put out an EP called Visions of a Dying World. It's melodic death metal from the UK. It's the solo project of a guy named Richard Hayward. He's put out 2 EPs since 2023. Really solid, well-produced melodic death metal. I like everything he's done. I'm kind of excited to see what a full album from him looks like. Did you get a chance to check these out, Christian?
Not as much as you, since you let me know about it a little bit late. But yeah, I definitely liked what I heard. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on it when I make the video for it.
Cool. Well, it's really straightforward melodic death metal. You can tell he's very passionate about his music, and it comes through in the performance. Solo projects are always impressive to me, especially when they're this polished for only being out for about a year. So I liked this a lot. I hope you guys enjoy it as well.
Yeah, the production was surprisingly really, really well done.
Really,
I mean,
well done.
It's not always easy to do melodic death metal with really good production. It can get kind of, the guitars can get kind of washed out sounding if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. And this is pitch perfect.
Yeah, agreed. Well, the track that we chose to play is called The Prophecy. And again, the album is called Visions of a Dying World, and the band is Embers Ignite. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and we will see you back in a couple of weeks with a lot more amazing reviews, because what's coming up in October is just mind-blowing how many good albums there are. So we'll see you soon.
See ya.
The purpose is broken.